orikipodcast.com. This God May Die by Gideon Chukwuemeka Ogbonna, read by Trish Eze. That Friday, the knock on the gate wasn't the soft taps of a guest, but a bang that came in short, heavy raps. It frightened the boys, Kachi, Danladi, and Ama. Kachi had received a call earlier from his father. Do not leave the house today. Reprisal attacks have started in Mina, his father had said, his voice jumpy. The knock came again. The boys could hear the piercing wails of women and children, men with guttural voices chanting Hausa songs punctuated with Nyamri. The boys lay on the floor, trembling, pondering what looked like the last moments of their lives. Their hearts beat in audible pulses. Their tongues had the sour taste of fear. Kachi looked at Danladi. His eyes beckoned him for safety. However, in that moment of uncertainty, Kachi didn't know if he could trust Danladi as he recalled their conversation 2 weeks back. 2 weeks ago, Igbo youths were shot by soldiers. These youths were on a peaceful protest, imploring the government to stop the marginalization of Igbos. Yet they were killed, and Danladi felt no sympathy. If those Biafrans had remained in their houses, no army would have shot at them, he had said. Kachi was stunned, disappointed. It was then he started piecing the clues to Danladi's personality. Danladi claimed he was liberal and not bound to the tenets of religion or culture, yet applauded rape because ladies these days do not dress properly. A punishment for the tempter was what he called rape. Danladi always had a way to blame and shame the victim. So when the knock came again, louder and more forceful, Kachi could only hope that in the most extreme case, Danladi would heed the voice of reason. The assailants grew impatient and scaled the fence into the house, landing with thoughts that shook the ground. They continued their chant, plummeting the walls with clubs, their bodies glistening with sweat. They are looking for Igbos in this house, Ama whispered. He understood Hausa to an extent. Danladi, please go beg your people. Tell them there are no Igbos here, Kachi said. Danladi managed a smile. So you now deny being Igbo? But I was never Igbo. Amurobo, Kachi's voice was brittle with tears. But you answer Kachi. Danladi looked puzzled. Anyway, don't worry. Let me go and meet them. He made for the door with his hands jutting from his lanky frame into the air in surrender. Ama and Kachi crawled behind the curtains to have a glimpse of what would transpire. Danladi, his dark curly hair shimmering in the sun, first shouted a greeting to the men, then said, Bani wande aboki nyamri. I don't have any Igbo friend. The leader's eyes blazed with fury. He wore a blue jean which was home to Grim. Blood and sweat made his black singlet stick to his skin. He brandished his dagger at Danladi. Dan Iska, bastard, he growled. Kaji ni wawane? Do you think I'm a fool? Danladi stared at the dagger. It gave off slivers of light as the sun shone on the grey metal. He looked into the eyes of the leader. It boiled with hate. And in these two, the dagger and the eyes, he heard the voice of reason. To, kayakuri, sorry, he said. Kada kayafushi, don't be angry. He moved closer to them so that the boys in the house wouldn't hear him. Danladi and the men spoke in whispers, and when Ama saw him pointing towards the house, with the men grinning wickedly, he said to Kachi, Run! He ran to the backyard where Ama scaled the fence with a deftness that Kachi did not possess, for Kachi landed on the other side grazing his knee and elbow.
No!
On the other side, Mina burned and smelled of blood and fire. Burning tires crackled. Everyone was on the street, smoked out by fear like rabbits. "Let's go to the barracks," a man said, his voice fluid with Igbo, his hair a carpet of white grains. Ama and Kachi followed the group as they walked with hurried steps towards the barracks, their bare feet scalded by hot tar. "They said the police will arrive soon," the elderly man said. "Maybe police go come when they don't kill us finish. When he reach Igbo people, na so them they delay. Nonsense," a woman replied, her eyes red from crying. Two children, squalid and wide-eyed, walked beside her, picking their nostrils and looking at everyone as they tried to understand the commotion. And when they arrived at a copse on the road, the children cried out. Their shriek made the rest of the group dart their eyes around for signs of their pursuers. The woman hushed the children with urgency, covering their eyes with her palms as she moved them away from the body. The body was that of a young man, hewn severally on his shoulders and neck. Blood curdled and leaked like oil from the gashes. At the sight, Kachi's knee buckled and he puked a brown paste that trickled to his shirt. Ama and the old man helped him to his feet. "Boy," the old man called Kachi in the way the old calls the young to remind them that they had seen a lot of things. "Survival is for the strong. If you're not physically strong, at least let your mind be." He rubbed Kachi's back. "Sorry," he added. The man spoke with a calmness that made Kachi ask him if that was an event he had witnessed before. "Many times, my child, many times," the man replied. "This is why we need Biafra. We can't continue to be tortured and hunted in a country we say is ours." He looked at the body with flies buzzing around it in convivial glee, then added, "We want to separate peacefully, but these people just want another war." Kachi's heart ached when he heard war. He remembered the many stories of war he had read in books, the few he had seen in movies, the ones where death stench was heavy in the air, with bodies strewn all over the street like decayed leaves, where boys forgot the tenderness of childhood because they were severed from innocence and given guns that stood tall above their heads, where everyone had just one instinct: run. His father had told him that Igbos, since after the war, had been living with a wound that had festered out of neglect. Let this government allow them go find healing, his father had said on the day newspaper headlines read, "Nigeria will burn if I'm rearrested. Biafran leader Nnamdi Kanu threatens FG." Even without his arrest, the country still burned. Kachi shook his head and was about to say to the old man, "I pray it won't come to war," when a member of the group cried, "Ndi Ausae," as she spotted a number of youths approaching them, brandishing knives and clubs. The group scampered like rats into different places for their lives. Ama and Kachi ran into the thickets. In the thickets, they found a semblance of peace. Tired, they walked along the bush path with their fingers entwined, humming Enya's May It Be. The earth was dry. It was September. The boys could feel sweat boil on their skin. Their tongues longed for water, but they hummed still, dousing their throats in Enya's Melancholia, thinking about many things and thinking about how to forget these things. "We knew this would happen, right?" Kachi said. "Did we know?" "I guess we did, but trust made us live in denial," Ama said. "Yes, trust. Danladi said he had no friends, only brothers, and we thought he referred to us." Ama shook his head in sadness. "Here I am running, and I'm not even Igbo. My name is Ama, from Akwa Ibom. But I doubt these bloodthirsty people would believe me. This is so messed up. His eyes stung with tears. The day Danladi told them he had only brothers, not friends, a girl had walked past them. Tanimu was with them. That was before riots and reprisal attacks, when Mina was a place of quiet afternoons and lively evenings. Evenings where children ran around in torn panties that had taken up the color of mud. Evenings where girls played suwe and boys played soccer and competed for trophies of clay. A gold trophy was clay overlaid with the golden foil of cigarette packs. Clay was overlaid with aluminium foil to make a silver trophy, and bronze was just clay. Evenings where kose and wara sizzled in small pans of oil and rice simmered for tuwo shinkafa. Hausas and Igbos may not have lived as friends on these evenings, but they lived as neighbors, happily, or so they thought. The girl who walked past the boys waved at Tanimu first, before waving at the others. Although her white hijab cascading to her shoulders covered a great portion of her face, her light-skinned beauty was still evident. Her steps made parts of her body filled with pubertal flesh resonate like a balloon inflated with water. Amma whistled. Kachi whistled too, and his eyes trailed the lady till she was no longer in sight. Why the whistle? Tanimu asked Kachi. I see fine girl, I go whistle now. Kachi laughed. I beg, stop him. No, they like my sister, I beg, Tanimu said. So Kachi no fi marry your sister? Amma asked. Marry? Not at all. You won't make him sell my sister because of money, Abi? How do you mean? Kachi asked. The humor in his voice gone. With the way our Nigeria is becoming ethnically and politically divided, if something like a war breaks out, a la Kiaye, an Igbo person can betray family just to have money to stay alive, Tanimu answered. That's a harsh thing to say, Amma scolded, his voice drowned by the shouts of the boys playing soccer. But it is the truth. Isn't that the main reason they lost the civil war? Too many traitors. Danladi, who had been silent all the while, finally spoke up. It is wrong to tag every Igbo person as a potential saboteur, Kachi said. Some of us still appreciate the beauty and bond of love and family. I wouldn't take chances, Tanimu grinned, revealing butter-colored teeth. But we're friends now, Amma said. I don't have friends, I only have brothers, Danladi retorted. Then he tapped Tanimu and said something to him in Hausa, gesturing towards Kachi. They both laughed. Amma gasped. It was just a joke, Danladi said, seeing Amma's reaction. What kind of joke is that? Amma gave him a wintry stare. Na joke, Jari, Tanimu patted Amma's shoulders. What did he say? Kachi turned to Amma, confusion streaked on his face. Forget it. Don't mind him. He said he was joking, Amma answered. Kachi shrugged. But when they headed for home, as darkness gradually spread over the earth, Kachi asked Amma again. He said that if Hausas come to ask for Igbos to kill, he would point you out. There was silence. They walked in this silence, diluted by the tweets of birds going to roast. When they got to where the road forked, where they would say goodbye, Kachi said, The funny thing is that I'm not even Igbo. I know. I think it's time you let them know too, at least for your safety, Amma said. Okay, I will. But he was only joking with what he said, right? Yes, it was only a joke. He wouldn't do such. Sitting in the bush, Kachi's tongue tasted bitter, and for the first time he hated his name. Hated that his parents did not have him early. Hated that they had to wait for 15 years. Hated that his mom's friend had screamed, Onye Kachi, who is greater than God, in the hospital the day he was born. His mother had loved the name, for it was easier than the Yoruba translation. Onoruvwe Ogene. She treated him like God. Her endearment for him was Chi God. Even when he grew into a young man with pear-shaped eyes and a skin of almond, she never wanted him out of her sight, as if by letting him go, he would return to heaven. Perhaps she was right. She had not been with him, and now they were hateful people seeking his blood. This God may die, he thought. And if he died, would it be a tale of death overpowering God? Who is greater than God? Death? He thought about his dad and mom. Were they running too? Were they home? Were they dead? The police should have arrived. Can you hear the sirens? Amma's voice barged into his thoughts. I think we can go home now. Night had come with the gritty swish of crickets. The boys tottered out of the thickets, trying as much as possible to shield the blisters on their soles from stones and tiny blades of grass. They got to the road, which was still warm from the afternoon's heat. Though cool breeze was already sipping into the night, sirens with swirling red lights wailed in the distance, and for the first time that Friday, the boys found comfort in their bones. A comfort that made them oblivious of the shadows that walked behind them, until the shadows barked. Stop there, bloody nyamiris! The end. This God May Die by Gideon Chukwuemeka Ogbonna, read by Trish Eze.
Soundscaping, Amazon.